Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Fascinating deep dive into one of the most extraordinary and valuable coins in numismatic history, the 1988 1-cent coin, a piece that has become legendary not because of its common circulation but due to the staggering mistakes and errors it bears, each mistake contributing to its astounding value of $132 million, a figure that might shock anyone unfamiliar with the intricate world of coin collecting where errors can sometimes translate into untold wealth. Today, we are going to explore the reasons behind this incredible valuation, how these errors and mistakes came to occur, and what makes this coin undeniably unique and sought after by collectors across the globe. The 1988 1-cent coin is not just any ordinary penny. It is a numismatic marvel whose value has skyrocketed far beyond its 1-cent face value, a phenomenon that begs a closer look into the error-filled story behind its existence. To fully appreciate the story of this coin, we must first understand what kind of errors it bears, and there are several categories to examine, primarily minting errors, die errors, and production mishaps, each intertwining to create a coin so rare and extraordinary that it has become a holy grail for collectors. One of the highlights is a double die error found on the obverse side of the coin, where the doubling appears on the date and the lettering, giving the impression of a shadow or ghost image that drastically alters the coin's appearance, a rarity that vastly increases the coin's desirability. The double die error occurs when the coin's design is struck twice on the same planchet, but slightly misaligned, creating layers that produce a doubled image, a phenomenon that is not merely a minor imperfection but a highly coveted mistake because it is visually striking and because it usually implies only limited coins were affected during production, and this scarcity heavily influences the coin's value. In the case of the 1988 penny, the double die error was found on a limited batch of coins minted in Philadelphia, reminding us how a brief lapse in the minting process can produce an imprint of historical and financial importance. Alongside this, another significant mistake involved a misaligned die, where the image on one side of the coin did not line up correctly with the other side, causing an unsettling tilt that makes the coin appear off balance, a flaw that normally would be considered a defect, yet in the coin collecting world, such anomalies are treasured because they reflect the authentic human error in a mechanized process and make each coin more unique. Further, the 1988 penny features what is known as a planchet error, which occurs when the blank metal disc intended for coin minting is flawed before the striking process. In some instances of this coin, the planchet was improperly cut, leading to coins with clipped edges or irregular shapes, deviations from the standard circular form that collectors prize because they provide tangible evidence of the imperfections and challenges in mass coin production. Equally captivating is the presence of die cracks, small fissures that appeared on the coin's surface as a result of stress and wear on the coin die used in the striking press. Die cracks may seem minor, but when they appear prominently on such a rare coin, they contribute to its identity and rarity. Particularly, some 1988 1-cent coins have die cracks running through important design elements such as the Lincoln Memorial or the date, making each slightly different and highly collectible. Investigating the metal composition adds yet another dimension to the coin's story and value. While pennies are usually made from copper-plated zinc since the early 1980s, some 1988 pennies were struck using outdated or mixed metal compositions due to supply issues, creating off-standard coins that differ in weight and appearance, subtle variations that numismatists can detect and appreciate. These compositional mistakes are prized because they are tangible records of the economic and industrial challenges of the era, making the coin a piece of history as well as a collector's treasure. One cannot overlook the fascinating possibility that some of the 1988 pennies with dramatic errors might have been produced due to rushed or unmonitored production runs at the United States Mint, an institution that, while known for precision, is not immune to mistakes when pressed to meet high demand. During 1988, the Mint produced billions of pennies, and yet only a tiny fraction emerged with such stunning errors, emphasizing the uniqueness and rarity of these misprints, and reminding us how rarity often directly correlates with monetary value in collectibles. This extremely limited availability means that these coins are seldom encountered in everyday transactions or even in private collections, making them highly elusive and consequently heightening the excitement in auctions and private sales where their values reach staggering heights. It is also important to consider the role of provenance and authentication in determining the $132 million valuation. Coins like the 1988-era penny must undergo rigorous evaluations by professional numismatic grading services that assess the coin's condition, authenticity, and the nature of its errors. Coins authenticated as genuine error pieces in excellent condition receive higher grades, translating directly into higher market values and reinforcing the credibility surrounding their astronomical price tags. Additionally, certificates of authenticity and documented chain of ownership histories drastically enhance the coin's appeal to serious collectors and institutional buyers alike, thus intensifying the competition to acquire such a precious artifact. The valuation also reflects the growing interest in investing in tangible assets that combine historical significance with scarcity, qualities that the 1988-era penny embodies perfectly. Beyond the tangible features of the coin, there is a compelling human story woven into the 1988 1-cent era coin saga that reveals how a simple production slip-up at a highly mechanized minting facility can evolve into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. Imagine the mint employees handling thousands of planches every hour, unaware that a small misalignment in a die could imprint history onto one of these coins, or that an out-of-spec planchet overlapping process would, decades later, become a key driver of a numismatic windfall for a patient and knowledgeable collector. Indeed, this coin's value also speaks volumes about the power of perception and passion in the numismatic community, where enthusiasts study every minute detail, share discoveries, and compete to find the rarest items that tell a compelling story of chance, craftsmanship, and accident. The 1988 penny's incredible story is also a reflection of the broader economy of collecting, where intangible qualities such as rarity, desirability, historical context, and aesthetic uniqueness converge to create something worth immensely more than face value, turning a lowly cent into a fortune that dazzles the imagination. Consider the ripple effects this valuation has on the coin collecting world. It drives up interest in error coins, causes other rare minting mistakes to be re-evaluated for their worth, and inspires many to pursue errors in their collections or on the chance of finding similar treasures in circulation. It further fuels auctions and private sales where bidding wars can push prices into eye-watering ranges, stimulating exciting but also challenging market dynamics for both buyers and sellers. One cannot help but imagine the future possibilities as technology advances and minting techniques become ever more precise. Will there still be error coins, and how will their rarity and value evolve? Or, conversely, could new kinds of errors emerge from novel minting processes or experimental designs, spawning a fresh generation of collectors obsessed with finding the next 1988 penny? Moreover, in an age where digital coins and cryptocurrencies disrupt traditional notions of money and value, the 1988-era penny stands as a testament to the enduring allure and tangible beauty of physical collectibles, reminding us that sometimes, human errors and historical quirks create treasures no technology can replace. It is also fascinating to ponder the psychological aspects of owning such a coin. Collectors often feel a deep connection to their pieces, and owning a piece marked by mistake and rarity is like holding a fragment of history that tells a unique story every time it passes from hand to hand. The feeling that you possess an object with only a few like it in existence is powerful, and the 1988 penny's place in numismatic lore only magnifies this sensation, making it more than just a coin but a symbol of fortune, chance, and human imperfection woven into art and metal. This intersection of human error, industrial process, and passionate collecting culture makes the 1988 1-cent coin a truly compelling subject, one that transcends mere monetary value and becomes a lens through which we can understand the intricacies of chance, value, and beauty in unexpected places. We can also delve into the broader market factors that have contributed to the penny's sky-high valuation. For example, inflation and the rise of wealthy collectors with an appetite for unique collectibles have increased demand and driven prices through the roof, while simultaneously the awareness of this coin's rarity spreads through social media and numismatic forums, creating a viral effect that heightens interest and prices even further. Collecting communities thrive on stories like this, where a humble object transforms into a multi-million-dollar prize, inspiring everything from documentaries to YouTube channels aimed at educating and enthralling curious audiences worldwide. Next, 1982 1-cent USA coin. We embark on an exciting journey into the captivating world of rare coins and extraordinary collectibles, and today we bring you an incredible story that features the 1982 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that has transformed into a numismatic treasure worth a staggering $57 million due to a series of remarkable errors and mistakes that have fascinated collectors, historians, and investors alike. This coin is not just a small piece of copper and zinc, it is a symbol of rarity, production anomalies, and the unexpected value that can lie hidden within the most commonplace of objects. The 1982 penny story is a fascinating blend of industrial challenges, minting mishaps, and the intricate processes of coin production that, when disrupted, have produced a coin so unique and scarce that it commands a price point that would seem unimaginable for a piece that originally represented just 1 cent. To understand why this particular coin holds such immense value, we must first delve into the array of errors and mistakes that contribute to its worth, examining the technical details of these minting flaws alongside the historical and economic contexts that elevate this penny to near mythical status within numismatic circles. One of the primary reasons the 1982 penny has become so valuable is due to the significant change in metal composition that occurred in that year, marking the transition from primarily copper pennies to pennies made almost entirely of zinc with a thin copper coating. This changeover, necessitated by the rising cost of copper, led to considerable confusion and unexpected production complications that manifested into numerous errors, making the coins minted during this transitional phase particularly interesting and rare. Among these errors, one of the most notable is the so-called copper rage variety, pennies that were struck with a planchette intended for the earlier copper-based pennies but were mistakenly overlaid or mismatched with die usage designated for zinc pennies, or vice versa, leading to subtle but detectable differences in weight, color, and metallic composition that specialists and collectors can identify. These anomalies result in a coin that defies standard production parameters and thus gains immense collector interest. Further compounding this complexity is the sometimes inconsistent thickness of the copper plating on the 1982 pennies, resulting from the hurried and occasionally imprecise manufacturing processes at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Pennies with unusually thick or thin copper layers can respond differently over time to environmental factors, occasionally revealing spots of the underlying zinc or suffering from corrosion in unique patterns, making each penny with such characteristics a rare specimen with a distinct story behind its physical condition. Beyond these metallurgical oddities, 1982 pennies also exhibit a range of minting mistakes that contribute further to their collectible value. For instance, die lubrication errors led to coins with smudged, blurred, or partially filled designs, while die cracking caused unintended ridges and raised lines across the coin's surface that emboss an accidental signature unique to those misprinted coins. Such errors, which may seem flaws in everyday thinking, are gold mines for collectors who cherish these imperfections as evidence of the coin's extraordinary journey from production to table, making each such penny a one-of-a-kind piece in a vast sea of identical ones. A particularly prestigious error associated with the 1982 penny is the off-center strike, where the coin die stamps the image and date slightly askew, leaving a partial imprint that exposes more of the blank planchette at the edges than usual. The degree of off-centering can vary widely, and those with more dramatic misalignments are exceedingly rare and therefore immensely valuable, as collecting communities highly prize such visually striking examples for their distinctiveness and rarity. Another error that inflates the 1982 penny's worth is the variable clamshell effect, which refers to small imperfections resulting from the coin's planchette being improperly clamped during the striking process, leading to minor bends or creases on the surface. While such effects might detract from the aesthetics in typical coin grading, collectors view them as physical manifestations of the coin's unique production history, adding an incomparable charm that usually fetches significant premiums in the marketplace. The 1982 penny's value is further augmented by the phenomenon of die doubling, where the coin's design appears as if two layers were slightly offset, producing a doubled image effect on key features like the date, Liberty's profile, or inscriptions. This doubling is caused by an imperfection in the die preparation process and can range from subtle to very obvious, but in all cases, it serves as an unmistakable indicator of rarity that only a few pennies bear, thus commanding enthusiastic bidding among collectors and investors. What truly makes the 1982 penny a numismatic marvel, however, is how these errors form a constellation of traits rather than a single isolated flaw. The coin's uniqueness arises from a combination of metal composition anomalies, die misalignments, strike errors, and post-minting environmental effects, all converging to produce specimens of extraordinary scarcity and desirability, thereby catapulting their financial worth into the tens of millions on both private and public markets. The provenance of these coins plays a crucial role in their valuation as well. Many 1982 pennies with the highest valuations have detailed documented histories tracing their discovery, chain of ownership, and expert authentication by premier grading firms such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. Such certification ensures buyers of the coin's authenticity, condition, and error classification, and given the substantial investment involved, this rigorous scrutiny is vital in bolstering confidence and driving record-setting auction prices. The allure of the 1982 penny is also deeply rooted in the historical context of the United States Mint during that year, as 1982 marked an economically challenging period characterized by inflation and rising metal costs that directly influenced production choices and minting decisions, resulting in a high volume of transitional coins, many of which didn't meet the mint's usual exacting standards and thus inadvertently gave rise to the production mistakes that collectors now crave. Interestingly, the transitional nature of 1982 pennies introduces fascinating possibilities for numismatists, such as finding specimens with hybrid compositions where copper and zinc coexist in ratios atypical for other pennies, creating a metallurgical patchwork that records a momentary period of flux in production techniques and materials sourcing, shedding light on industrial history while offering a tangible connection for collectors to a unique economic era. Furthermore, the market for such coins has evolved dramatically due to the growing popularity of coin collecting and investing as alternative asset classes. Wealthy investors who traditionally focus on stocks or real estate are increasingly attracted by the tangible, enduring nature of rare coins, and the 1982 penny with its multimillion-dollar valuation exemplifies this trend, combining historical intrigue with the potential for substantial appreciation over time. These economic realities have led to a surge in awareness, demand, and prices for such era coins, further encouraged by digital platforms, social media, and professional auctions where rare pennies garner international attention and attract competition from collectors worldwide, intensifying market pressures and pushing price ceilings ever higher. Another factor pushing the 1982 penny's value skyward is the scarcity resulting from attrition and loss. Given the vast number of pennies minted each year, one might assume large quantities of error coins remain, but in reality, the vast majority of pennies, error-filled or not, have been spent, lost, or destroyed, shrinking the available pool for collectors and investors to near impossibility for certain high-grade specimen varieties, thus heightening scarcity and pricing power. Additionally, ownership of such a coin represents not only monetary wealth but also an entry into an elite community of numismatists and collectors who value the artistry, craftsmanship, and storytelling embedded in each minted piece, creating a social cachet and cultural fascination that extend beyond the coin's finances and into personal identity and legacy building within the collecting world. The 1982 penny's extraordinary value also invites examination of the intersection between human error and machine precision. While mints typically rely on exceedingly sophisticated technologies and strict quality controls to minimize defects, the complexity and volume of minting operations mean that occasional deviations are inevitable. Human oversight during the setup of dies or the calibration of presses can result in the very kinds of errors that see collectors auctioning pennies for millions, which captures the imagination by showing how imperfection within machinery becomes a vehicle for rarity and human interest. Moreover, The story of the 1982 penny encourages speculation about what future eras might become just as valuable, as mints worldwide continue producing vast quantities of coins but always face the challenge of balancing speed, quality, and cost. Modern technological advances may reduce the frequency of such errors, but as long as minting remains a process involving significant machinery and manual elements, the possibility remains for rare errors to captivate and enrich the minting and collecting community.